At 4:26 p.m. on July 16, 1990, the ground beneath Luzon didn't just shake, it tore the fabric of our society apart. Bridges didn't just crack, they snapped like toothpicks. As we enter 2026, the geological clock is ticking toward the big one, and that inevitable 7.2 magnitude earthquake. We prepare our survival kits, but we ignore a hidden danger every single day, the concrete beneath our tires. We trust these lifelines to take us home, but what if they are standing on borrowed time? Today, we are exposing the 10 most dangerous bridges in the Philippines that, according to structural audits, are one major shake away from a catastrophic collapse. Ingat tayo, because our infrastructure is far more fragile than you think. To understand the risk, we must look at the silent enemies, age and neglect. Many of our primary bridges were built decades ago for a world that moved slower. Years of pounding from heavy trucks, far exceeding original limits, have created invisible microfractures in the concrete and fatigue in the steel. Combined with salt air corrosion, the structural integrity of these landmarks is fading in a slow process that only becomes visible when it's far too late. As we move through this list, remember, these aren't just statistics. These are the actual paths we take to reach our families. If these foundations are compromised, the moment the earth moves, these bridges won't just be closed, they will be gone. We start our list with a bridge that serves as a critical artery for provincial trade. Yet it has been largely ignored in recent modernization efforts. This particular span in northern Luzon has survived dozens of minor tremors and typhoons, but its return period for failure has officially ended. Recent inspections have revealed exposed rebars and deep scouring around its underwater pylons. In the engineering world, scouring is like a slow-motion assassination. The water slowly eats away at the soil supporting the bridge's legs. If a magnitude 7.0 hits, the lateral force will push against a foundation that is no longer fully anchored. It's a terrifying thought. Isang malakas na yanig lang and this lifeline could isolate an entire municipality from emergency services. This is the reality for thousands of residents who have no other way to reach the nearest hospital. Number 9. The urban choke point. Deep in the heart of Metro Manila lies a bridge that millions of commuters cross every single week. This isn't just a bridge, it's a symbol of our daily hustle. However, its proximity to the West Valley Fault makes it a primary target for seismic energy. Because it was built before modern earthquake-resistant standards were fully implemented, it lacks the necessary base isolators that allow a structure to dance with the earth rather than fight against it. When the soil undergoes liquefaction, a process where solid ground turns into a liquid-like state during a quake, this bridge's heavy concrete frame will become its own worst enemy. The weight that keeps it stable today will be the very thing that pulls it down tomorrow. We often take our daily routes for granted, but for this urban choke point, the margin for error has narrowed to almost zero. Before we move further down our list, we need to talk about why the Philippine landscape is particularly dangerous during a magnitude 7.0. Our islands are largely composed of alluvial soil and reclaimed land, especially in coastal cities like Manila, Cebu, and Davao. During an earthquake, the intense vibration increases the water pressure between soil particles, causing the ground to lose its strength and behave like quicksand. This is liquefaction. Imagine a massive bridge pylon weighing hundreds of tons, suddenly losing its footing. It doesn't matter how strong the steel is if the ground beneath it vanishes. This is the hidden danger that keeps structural engineers awake at night. As we enter 2026, the data shows that several of our major bridges are sitting directly on high-risk liquefaction zones. Understanding this isn't about spreading fear, it's about acknowledging the geological reality of the land we call home. Number 8. The gateway to the south. Moving toward the southern corridors, we find a bridge that acts as the primary gateway for logistics and food supply. This structure is a marvel of old-school engineering, but it was never designed to handle the sheer volume of 22-wheeler trucks that now dominate our roads. The constant vibration from heavy loads has caused spalling, where chunks of concrete begin to fall away, exposing the internal skeleton to the elements. Engineers have warned that a significant seismic event would cause a pancake collapse of the approach ramps. If this gateway fails, the ripple effect on the economy would be immediate. Food prices would soar, and medical supplies would be stranded. This bridge represents the delicate balance of our supply chain. a chain that is only as strong as its weakest, most rusted link. Number 7. The Coastal Sentinel. In the Visayas region, there is a bridge that has become a landmark for tourists and locals alike. It spans across a beautiful strait, connecting two islands that rely on each other for survival. However, its beauty masks a deadly flaw: saltwater intrusion. For decades, the salty mist has been seeping into the concrete, causing the internal steel reinforcements to rust and expand. This expansion creates internal pressure that cracks the concrete from the inside out. While it looks solid from a distance, up close, the signs of cancerous decay are everywhere. During an earthquake, the brittle steel will snap under the tension of the swaying deck. It's a tragic irony that the very ocean that gives these islands life is also the force that is slowly destroying their only physical connection. We often focus on the immediate loss of life during a disaster, but we must also consider the slow-motion disaster that follows. When a major bridge collapses, it doesn't just stop traffic, it stops life. In the Philippines, our geography makes us uniquely vulnerable. We are a nation of islands and mountains, where a single bridge is often the only way in or out of a region. If these 10 bridges were to fail simultaneously during a magnitude 7.0, the Great Disconnect would begin. Recovery efforts would be hampered, as heavy machinery wouldn't be able to reach the hardest-hit areas. The cost of rebuilding would run into the hundreds of billions, diverting funds from education and healthcare for decades. This is why infrastructure is a national security issue. Every crack we ignore today is a debt that our children will have to pay tomorrow. Number 7. The Coastal Sentinel. In the Visayas region, there is a bridge that has become a landmark for tourists and locals alike. It spans across a beautiful strait, connecting two islands that rely on each other for survival. However, its beauty masks a deadly flaw: saltwater intrusion. For decades, the salty mist has been seeping into the concrete, causing the internal steel reinforcements to rust and expand. This expansion creates internal pressure that cracks the concrete from the inside out. While it looks solid from a distance, up close, the signs of cancerous decay are everywhere. During an earthquake, the brittle steel will snap under the tension of the swaying deck. It's a tragic irony that the very ocean that gives these islands life is also the force that is slowly destroying their only physical connection. We often focus on the immediate loss of life during a disaster, but we must also consider the slow-motion disaster that follows. When a major bridge collapses, it doesn't just stop traffic, it stops life. In the Philippines, our geography makes us uniquely vulnerable. We are a nation of islands and mountains, where a single bridge is often the only way in or out of a region. If these 10 bridges were to fail simultaneously during a magnitude 7.0, the Great Disconnect would begin. Recovery efforts would be hampered, as heavy machinery wouldn't be able to reach the hardest-hit areas. The cost of rebuilding would run into the hundreds of billions, diverting funds from education and healthcare for decades. This is why infrastructure is a national security issue. Every crack we ignore today is a debt that our children will have to pay tomorrow. Number 6. The Highland Lifeline. High in the Cordilleras and mountainous regions, bridges face a different kind of threat: landslides. Number 6 on our list is a bridge that sits at the base of a notorious slope. An earthquake wouldn't just shake the bridge, it would trigger a massive movement of earth from above. Even if the bridge itself is structurally sound, the force of thousands of tons of rock and mud hitting the deck would be unsurmountable. In the event of the big one, these highland lifelines are the first to be cut off, leaving mountain communities isolated in total darkness. We must ask ourselves, are we ready to fly in supplies to millions of people because we failed to secure a single mountain pass? The urgency of 2026 demands that we look at the environment surrounding our bridges, not just the bridges themselves. Number 5. The historic landmark. Sometimes our love for history can blind us to modern danger. Number 5 is a bridge that has stood for over half a century, surviving wars and previous natural disasters. It is a source of pride for its city, a beautiful example of mid-century architecture. But sentimentality doesn't stop physics. The structural design of this era relied on gravity walls and simple bearings that are completely inadequate for the multi-directional forces of a 7.0 quake. During a seismic event, the deck is likely to unseat, meaning it will literally slide off its supports and drop into the river below. We must respect our history, but we must also protect our future. Upgrading these landmarks with modern seismic dampers is expensive, but the cost of losing them and the lives of those on them is infinitely higher. Number 4. The arterial flyover. In the dense jungles of our urban centers, flyovers were built to solve traffic, but they created a new kind of vertical risk. Number 4 is a major arterial flyover that shows significant signs of column distress. The pillars supporting the massive weight of thousands of cars show vertical cracking, a clear sign that the concrete is being crushed by the load. In a major earthquake, these columns are prone to shear failure, where they snap diagonally, causing the entire upper deck to come crashing down onto the road below. There is no staying safe when you are underneath thousands of tons of falling concrete. This is the nightmare scenario for any commuter. These structures require constant, aggressive maintenance, yet many are only given a fresh coat of paint to hide the structural rot beneath. We must take a moment to speak about the families who use these routes every day. We often talk about infrastructure as if it's just cold metal and stone, but infrastructure is human. It's the father driving home to see his kids. It's the nurse heading to her night shift. It's the student traveling to his graduation. When we talk about a bridge won't survive, what we are really saying is that people won't survive. Every time a government audit is ignored or a maintenance budget is diverted, we are gambling with human lives. The world is changing, and our weather and geological patterns are becoming more volatile. We cannot afford the luxury of Bahala anymore. The 1990 earthquake taught us the price of being unprepared. Let us not let that lesson go to waste as we face the inevitable tremors of the future. Number 3. The industrial link. As we reach the top 3, the stakes become even higher. Number 3 is a bridge that connects a major industrial zone to a shipping port. This is the heart of our export economy. However, the bridge is situated on a known active fault splay, a smaller branch of a major fault line. This means that during a quake, the ground on one side of the bridge could move in a different direction than the other. No amount of steel can survive the ground literally tearing itself apart. This differential settlement would twist the bridge like a piece of tin foil. Beyond the physical collapse, the rupture of gas and water lines attached to the bridge would likely lead to fires and a total loss of utilities for the surrounding factories. This is where engineering meets economic catastrophe. Number 2, the iconic crossing. It is one of the most photographed structures in the country, a true icon of Philippine engineering. Yet, number 2 on our list is a bridge that engineers have been quietly worried about for years. Its long spans and height make it extremely susceptible to resonance, the phenomenon where the frequency of the earthquake matches the natural vibration of the bridge, causing the swaying to increase until the structure destroys itself. While it has been retrofitted in the past, experts argue that those measures were designed for a magnitude 6.0, not the 7.2 that the big one promises. If this iconic crossing falls, it won't just be a logistical disaster, it will be a psychological blow to the entire nation. It would be a visual reminder that even our greatest achievements are vulnerable to the power of nature. Number 1. The Doomsday Bridge. Finally, we come to number 1. This is a bridge that sits at the intersection of every possible risk factor. It is over 50 years old, it sits on high liquefaction soil, it is heavily over capacity, and it is located less than 5 kilometers from the main fault line. It is the perfect storm of engineering failure. Multiple independent reports have labeled this structure as critically deficient. In a magnitude 7.0 earthquake, this bridge is predicted to fail within the first 10 seconds of shaking. It is a terrifying reality for the tens of thousands of people who cross it daily. It stands as a monument to our procrastination. We know the danger, we have the data, and yet the bridge remains open, waiting for the one shake that will bring it all down. This is the warning we cannot afford to ignore any longer.